Howdy all, welcome back to Lives. I think it's time we play a little Minecraft. Oh man, it's turned out to be a long day. All right, I am probably just gonna go ahead and do some mapping at this point. Um, Careful now. We don't want to pull the wrong. This map here has got a couple of spots on it. Look, I found this out. Minimap. Look at that. But this map's got a couple of spots in the corners, and I am going to map in this other direction here. So, or in the direction where the corners are smudged over. So we're gonna head off this way, get this mapped, and then get the next map over here done. Yeah, I don't know what is going on, but apparently my microphone wasn't working, and yeah, I recorded twice, both times with no sound from me. It appears to be working now, so here's hoping. Yeah, it's my niece came down yesterday. She's like 5, and she loves Spider-Man, and so she wanted me to watch Spider-Man with her yesterday. She brought down the Spider-Man 3 Blu-ray, maybe, like the old Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, which I prefer to the more modern ones. Especially those two in the middle there. There's two of them. There's Andrew Garfield, I want to say, was the dude's name. I didn't like either of his Spider-Man movies. I know the Spider-Man 3's got some goofy parts in it, but I still think it's a good Spider-Man movie outside of like about 20 minutes in the middle of the movie. But there's like nothing in the Andrew Garfield movies other than like one scene that I even enjoyed. Um, I especially hated the scene at the end of the first Garfield movie where, it might not be Andrew Garfield. He might be I think Andrew Garfield is the old one though, the middle one we'll call him. But there's a scene in there where the crane operators go out and they move all their cranes in a row because suddenly he doesn't know how to swing across the middle of New York without cranes to provide him with latch points because, Spider-Man's never used his webs in New York City before, I guess. I don't know. Alright, I gotta move this way a bit to make sure I'm not off the bottom. I was off the bottom corner of this map. I need to move on to this new map. Am I going the wrong way? I need... Oh, no. I'm just reading the map wrong. Yep, nope, we're in a good spot right here. Plunk. Alright, so we got the new map. And then I need you. And then we need to stretch this guy out 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then we're going to swap you out here like so. Okay. And then, you should come with me, just in case. I need you because there isn't enough wood in the world to map this out. Just Hopefully I remember when I get to that other corner to bring out my other map so that I can get that other corner on that map filled in. So anyways, yeah, so she wanted to watch that, but she only watched like an hour of it yesterday, and then she came back today to watch the other hour of it. And so that ate up a good chunk of my I'm getting meat. Good chunk of my afternoon today, and then the big story for me today is we played our regular Monday night D&D last night with an irregular one-shot run by a different guy, and so um, so that went late, and then I get up early on Sundays, and so I'm feeling pretty tired. And then on top of that, my microphone didn't work for 2 recordings, and yeah, so I'm getting pretty tired here. My pinky is getting tired of holding down this control key to run for sure, because I've been mapping for over an hour now, probably closer to 2 hours, because I was mapping before I started recording. So yeah, we played D&D last night. It was still weird to me that we played last night. The whole point of last night's game was originally designed to fill in for when our regular guide, DM, Dungeon Master, was unable to prepare a session for the evening. Our regular DM, I don't know what he does to prepare for a session, but apparently it takes him a long time. My idea of preparing for a session is to put a list of monsters together and then wing it. And so I'm just like, what lives in this ruins? All right, this and this and this and this and this and this and this. I use there's online tools, so I know what level my guys are at. I just pop on and I put in a level selection from like the smallest guys up to whatever is the biggest level I feel I want to throw at my group. And then I just make a list from what I think is going to be in the particular area we're in for that day. Or if they go into a different area, I already have lists for most of that. And if I don't, I can just pop over to that website and get a quick list. And there we go. I'm ready to go. Everything else is made up on the fly. And so so I don't know what takes them so long to prepare, but sometimes our Monday DM is like, yeah, I didn't have time to get everything prepared, so we're gonna have to skip till next week or whatever. So my Wednesday DM has been begging almost for a long time now to let him run a one-shot, because he plays with us on Mondays, a one-shot on the nights that the other guy can't do it. So this week was not that. And this week should have been a D&D week, but the guy who wants to run the one-shot and the guy who runs the stream because we stream our D&D, well, that guy streams our D&D. I just make videos of it and occasionally put them up on my channel. He decides to... I did not record this one-shot. He says he can't make it. And then the guy who wants to run the one-shot's like, well, I can't make it either. And so even if we were going to play, we couldn't... I can't make it, he can't make it, so we're just going to cancel D&D this week. And so somehow that translated into our DM isn't running the campaign, so we have to run this one-shot now. And so my Wednesday night DM, who plays in my Monday night game with a different group, is like, well, I gotta run my one-shot now. And so he's like, oh, we'll do it on Monday then. And I'm like, well, if the regular DM could make it on Monday, then wouldn't we just be playing our regular D&D on Monday? Like, you do understand it's not that he can't play. You're the ones who said you couldn't play. Um, hey, llamas, is there a path up here? Maybe. There are some weird caves up here, but I thought maybe the llamas would know. You didn't help me out, llamas. Tunnel through the mountain then. And so then it's just a huge ordeal where they're trying to figure out what night we can run this one shot on, and I'm still like, I understand, why are we doing this one shot? Because I thought it was made for when the DM couldn't make it, but you're the ones who can't make it. It's not the DM who can't make it this time. So you're just trying to run an extra game of D&D that nobody asked for. I'm busy. I'm a busy guy. I don't know if I want to give up my one of my few nights of the week where I normally don't have to do anything to play D&D. I mean I love playing D&D, but this is unexpected and uncalled for, unasked for, I guess, not uncalled for. And so they tried to figure out if we could do it last Sunday. And then the DM was like, the Monday DM is like, I can't make it at the last minute. One of the few times that dude's ever last minute canceled. Like, he's canceled before, but he usually lets us know way ahead of time. This is one of the few times I can think of where he last minute canceled. In fact, it might be the only time I can think of him last minute canceling. The guy who's running the one shot, though, he last minute cancels all the time. And so, oh, we can't run it on Sunday. What about Monday? What's people's schedules look like on Monday? And, well, can't do it on Monday. Oh, I can't do it on Tuesday. Although we did comic book night on Tuesday, and we started that at the time that we would have started D&D, so I don't understand why he could do D&D, or he could do comic book night, but we couldn't do D&D. Anyways, I guess the other guy couldn't make it, so it didn't matter, but... and so, so they finally decide on Saturday. The Monday DM says he could make it on Saturday, and so that's when it became Saturday. I'm like, well, I don't really want to do it on Saturday because I get up super early every Sunday, and I know you guys are going to play D&D too late to coincide with my sleep schedule. And they're like, well, we'll keep it early. And I'm like, okay. So an hour and a half into my sleep schedule, we finished last night. And yeah, it was not as bad as I was expecting it to be. I mean, I didn't expect it to... I expected it to be more annoying, and it was not as annoying as I thought it would be. It did start out a little annoying. There's the Wednesday DM, he does weird animal voices when animals talk in our Monday game. And our Monday DM lets him do it because our Monday DM refuses to make weird animal voices, and one of the guys who plays wants weird animal voices when he talks to animals. And so he talks to animals a lot. And so he demanded that the DM does weird animal voices. He said he wouldn't do it. And so the other guy says he would do it. So now when they cast that spell, the two of them sit there and have 30, 40, hour and a half long conversations with one of them speaking in a stupid voice. And I mean, like, talk to a horse, the horse sounds like Mr. Ed. Talk to a dog, dog sounds like Scooby-Doo. That kind of stuff. And so I hate it, because I hate silly stuff like that. And the guy knows it, that I hate it. And he has said he just does it because he knows it annoys me. So, oh, and the other guy likes it. Yeah, he knows the other guy likes it, and I hate it, and so that's why he does it. And so we start last night, and the first words out of his mouth are, "I hope you like silly animal voices." And I'm like, I'm not playing it. And he's like, "Oh, come on." I'm like, "Nope, you guys can play without me. I am not playing a campaign that's full of silly animals." He's like, all right, I'm joking. There is an animal, but he's not going to sound silly. I'm like, all right, uh, then I'll stay, but if it gets to silly animal voices, I quit. And the voices were a little on the silly side, but they weren't as bad as the talking animals in our Monday night game. And so, because I was just envisioning like 4 straight hours of silly animal voices. And so it was a sheep come up to us and wanted us to get his wand back from his apprentice who had turned him into a sheep, and he would give us, and this is what we agreed to. He offered us magic items or money, and I said, uh, if we do this thing, I want anything you have. We pick anything we want that you have, or we pick anything of your stuff that we want, and we will bring you back. And he agrees. And so we get going. The other group showed up. They demanded the sheep. They didn't negotiate as well. Otherwise, we might have sold them the sheep. Um, and so they attacked us while we were trying to negotiate for a price. And so we killed them. And then we go to confront the guy who has the wand. And we get there, and they try to talk to him, and then that turns into an attack. And so we kill those guys, and the wizard, the bad wizard, was involved in that. And so then we find out the whole reason we're playing this particular story is because there's a creature in it who is a dragon made out of a bed. The story is basically the wizard had a wand of transmutation. His apprentice made a wand, or took the wand and modified it, and so it doesn't work very well. And so one time he used it and he turned the other guy into a sheep permanently. And so the only way to bring him back is to cast from that wand again. I guess we should have been able to just find another transmutation wizard of high level to be able to cast true polymorph and bring him back, but that wasn't an option because we were only level 5, and true polymorph is like a level 15 or 16 spell. It's like a level 9 spell, level 8 spell. You gotta be level 15 or 16. We're level 5, so we're not casting it. And so yeah, it was interesting. And in the end, we won. But there were a couple of irritating things along the way. Mostly they didn't happen until the wizard. All right, I think that cleared off that other map there. It didn't happen until we were fighting the wizard on his dragon. So his dragon's made out of a bed. It was one of the times when the transmutation spell didn't work right. And so he tried to create a wormling, which is a small dragon, out of the bed. And instead, it created a dragon who was a bed. And so its wings were bed sheets, and it was made out of wood. And when it breathed its breath weapon out at us, it spit splinters instead of, fire or something. And so the wizard was riding on his back, and so we were fighting him. And the wizard, or the dragon, got killed, and the wizard was almost dead. And so up to this point, I only had 2 third-level spells I could cast, and so I'd cast Minute Meteors, and which is one of my spells. Minute Meteors is cool because you get these little meteors that orbit your head, and you can throw them one or two per turn at whatever target you want and do damage to them, but still have your main action available so that you can cast other spells. And so it's kind of like being able to cast two spells each round. You just have to cast it the first, you know, you cast it, and then that round, and for up to 6 rounds after that, you can throw a little meteor or two little meteors, which you only get 6. So once those 6 are gone, unless you cast a higher spell, then you get more meteors. But either way, it's a neat spell, and so I cast that and use that to fight with, and then the I was debating whether or not to use my other third level spell to do the minute meteors again, because my other third level spell I had learned, because you're allowed to learn two, and so the other one that I had learned was, well, I guess I had 4 third level spells, but the two I had available to me were, because I only had 2 third level spell slots. So I did minute meteors because I felt that was the most useful attack spell I had. Fireball was also in there, but minute meteors, I like the control of minute meteors over just the one-time blast of fireball. I liked having 6 smaller blasts that add up to more damage, and plus, you can hit more than one target specifically with them. And I guess with Fireball you can hit all the targets if they're clustered together enough. And so anyways, so I didn't. And so my other spell was Counterspell. And so Counterspell gives you a chance to break a wizard's spell as he's casting it so that it doesn't work. And so the dragon is 30 feet in the air when it dies. So it's going to fall 30 feet to the ground with the wizard on its back, which means technically the wizard is falling 30 feet. Now, he said the wizard looked badly hurt. And so he was falling to the ground, and he cast Featherfall. So Featherfall obviously stops you from taking damage when you fall to the ground. Featherfall is a reaction, so you can cast it on someone else's turn. So in this case, our cleric, somehow, I don't know what the cleric was equipped with, but the cleric was throwing fire spells left and right all night. But the cleric threw a fireball at the dragon, and that's what killed the dragon. And so the wizard starts to fall on the cleric's turn, and I cast Counterspell when he casts Featherfall, because Counterspell is another spell you can cast on other people's turns. So we're still technically on the cleric's turn, and he casts Featherfall, I cast Counterspell, he now falls to the ground, and he should have taken 3d6 damage, 1 6-sided dice per 10 feet. And so instead, and this is why this DM irritates me a lot, he changed it. And so he allowed the evil wizard to take his turn on the cleric's turn. And so he used the wand and tried to turn himself into a dragon. It didn't work because the wand requires a roll to see if it works correctly. And I assume I did not have access to the actual. I didn't have access to the adventure we were playing, and so I assume that the adventure says he turns into a gibbering mouther. And so I was like, really? Because fine. So instead of being able to do something with my spell, he's like, oh, well, you do it, and he falls to the ground, and he makes a crunching sound when he hits, but it doesn't seem to kill him. Instead, he turns into a gibbering mouther. And I'm like, oh, seriously? So I use one of 2 third-level spells I have available for this game, and you just took it away from me because... just because. No good reason, just because. And like he could have said before you were able to cast counterspell, uh, he turns into a gibbering mouther, and then I wouldn't have lost my counterspell. I could have still had my slot left, but no, no, because as I have learned, that DM is out to get me, and he always is, and we discuss it almost every Wednesday night. Me and the one of the other guys that plays on Wednesday night about what's really funny is the guy I discuss it with. He's out to get him in the other campaign we just started with that guy as DM. Because everything that happens to that other guy's character. Everything. And it's crazy. And so, yeah, so that wasted my counter spell. And then after he landed, he said to us that the ground around the Mouther appears to be spongy. I don't know what that means. I know what spongy means. I can imagine what spongy ground means, but that's not a technical term in D&D, so I don't know what that means. So he says it's out to 2 squares, so that's 10 feet. 10 feet from the Mouther is now spongy ground. So I'm expecting maybe it's got tentacles or something. I've never fought a gibbering Mouther before. And so I get in there, and I'm like, all right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to run up, I'm going to grab the wand, because I asked where the wand fell, and he said it fell next to the gibbering mouther. So I want to get my hands on that wand before anybody else can, because my character is an evil character. Evil in D&D means you're out for yourself before anybody else. It doesn't mean you're, crazy sadist or something. It can if that's your thing. Just that's not what made my character evil. What made him evil was he felt other people were just tools to get him what he was after, and that's what I decided on as we were playing. And it didn't really change anything in the game, other than he ran forward to make sure that wand was in his hands and not someone else's. And so once I got up to the gibbering mouther, I cast a spell called, I want to say Frostbite, which surrounds it in ice. And so then on its next attack, it has disadvantage. And so I had run in up to it, grabbed the wand, and cast the spell, and the DM had said nothing at this point. And so then I'm like, all right, and now I run away. And it'll have disadvantage on its opportunity attack. He's like, well, like I said, the ground around the... Now, I had walked through 10 feet of this ground already, and he didn't say anything. And when I went to move, he's like, oh, well, that spongy ground is actually difficult terrain for you, and so you've used up all your movement at this point. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I hate when he does this. He didn't change the description, but he didn't give me the information related to the description until after I had already taken all my actions and there was nothing I could do to change it. And and so it was difficult terrain when I entered it, but he didn't tell me, oh, those squares are difficult terrain. I probably wouldn't have run up to him at that point. I would have waited a turn so that I had more movement points so I didn't wind up next to him, and I would have used a different spell. But no, that's not what happened. Instead, what happened was he waited until I was up next to him, and he's like, oh, by the way, you're trapped there now because, yeah, you're too dumb to realize there's 10 feet of spongy ground. That's difficult terrain, I guess. So that's super annoying. And then, not that it made any difference to the game other than I used a small attack spell instead of a large attack spell for that round. As the only difference that it made. I didn't get hurt or anything like that. It didn't impact my character in any way. It was just irritating to me that he would wait until after I had already entered 2 squares into difficult terrain to let me know, that yes, all those squares were difficult terrain. Because usually, like, all right, fine, it's spongy. I don't know what that means, but the first square I enter is not next to the mouther, it's one square away, so it can't hit me, but I would have realized, hey, this is difficult terrain, and I would have changed what I did, but he didn't tell me that until after I had entered, taken the steps up to the mouther, cast a spell, picked up the wand, and it wasn't until I said I wanted to move out that he was like, "Oh, you can't move out because you've used up all your movement points and your turn is over." Um, and he does that. It's super irritating when he does that. Uh, because it's an instance where he should have described it and what it meant, and he didn't until after you do something, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way, what you just did doesn't work." So like it'd be like, "Oh, I see the guy. The guy's getting away." Yes, and he tells you the guy is going up the ladder to get away. And you're like, "Oh well, I'm gonna throw a fireball or a fire bolt, which is a smaller fire spell, at the ladder and try and destroy the ladder, so he can't get away." You throw the firebolt, but oh, did I say ladder? I meant stairs. He's actually climbing up stone stairs, and so your firebolt hits the stairs, but just splashes harmlessly against the stone, so your turn is over. Okay, well, obviously I wouldn't have thrown a firebolt against stone stairs had you told me they were stone stairs. Um, Not that that ever actually happened, just that's what it feels like a lot of times with him. Oh, you did this thing? Well, you know what? Actually, that thing doesn't work because I didn't fully describe what's going on, and so there's a lot of you enter the cave system. Okay, I want to look around in the cave system before I enter fully. Well, you walk like 30 feet into the cave system, and overhead are holes you didn't see, and tentacles shoot down out of the holes. Okay, I just said I wanted to look around before I entered the cave. I did not say I want to enter 30 feet. You did not tell me there were holes now that my guy has suddenly magically moved 30 feet after I didn't say anything about moving 30 feet. Uh, yeah. Anyways. Anyways. So, so those two were really irritating while we were playing, and then once we were basically finished, uh, the it came time to loot, and uh, he tells us, I just figured it was a one shot, so I didn't actually roll out any loot tables because it's not really going to matter because we're probably not using these characters again. And, because they were just for this one shot. And so I didn't actually do any loot tables to see what magic items and stuff you guys get. I didn't figure it'd matter. And so we're still talking to the sheep, and the sheep's like, "All right, now change me back." I'm like, "All right, I want your spell book." Because this is a famous high-level wizard, although he can't be that good if his apprentice got him. And I want your spell book because wizards are the only casting class in the game who can get spells from another wizard's spell book. So if he's a high-level wizard, I want his high-level spell book so I have access to all the spells he's ever learned, or all the spells that he keeps in that particular spell book. And so then the DM is like, and then, the sheep says to us, "Oh, well, I don't have it on me." I'm like, "Well, no kidding, you don't have it on you, but where is it?" "Well, I don't know where it is." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't know where it is? What did you do with it? I mean, you've been here for 2 years. You had to have seen what the guy was doing." Well, I hid it." "All right, well, where did you hide it? Because that's my price. I want your spell book, and then we will turn you back." Well, I put it in a secret chest, which is a spell, and so you can't access the secret chest. I can't access the secret chest until I'm in human form again. I'm like, "Oh, all right, that probably seems right, but I want that spell book." And he's like, "Well, turn me back, and then I'll try and get the spell." And so then I try to use the wand, and I didn't roll very well. So the wand exploded. doing 17 points of damage to me. I only have 27 hit points. Um, and so now we have no way to turn the sheep back. And so he's like, well, I guess you're not gonna be able to get that spell book then, because he's trapped as a sheep, and there's no way for him to get that spell book back. And so then our cleric is like, so if he can't give us what we want, then we don't have a need for him, right? I'm like, nope, we sure don't. And he's like, all right, I pull out my dagger and stab him. I'm like, good, sounds good. And the DM's like, what? I'm like, yeah, if he can't be turned back and he's not going to give us what we want, then we don't have a use for him. I'm not going to leave this sheep just wandering around. He's annoyed me at this point. He lied. And so I'm like, what was that spell you said that he hit his spell book with? Because we were discussing in the game whether or not killing him would get the spell book back out. And so he told us what it was. And I'm like, dude, this spell says that every 60 days you have to roll to see if it breaks or not. And so if he can't cast, because he's been a sheep for how long did you say? He's like 2 years. If he can't cast for 2 years, then you have to roll for every 60 days a cumulative 5% chance, which means like on the first roll after the first 60 days that he has not been able to refresh the spell as a sheep, 1 out of 20. The next 60 days, 2 out of 20. The next 60 days, 3 out of 20. And so it works out to 12 rolls with the final time being a 60% chance. So that's 12 out of 20 spots are a failure for the spell. 12 out of 20. So I don't think there's a very good chance that it wouldn't break by that point. And he's like, look, you're not getting a high-level wizard spell book, so just quit, alright? I'm not giving you a high-level wizard spell book on your low-level wizard. It's just not going to happen, alright? Just that spellbook is just gone. Nobody knows what happens to it. It's just gone, and you're not getting it. Like, seriously? If it didn't matter so much that you couldn't be bothered to roll the magic items we were promised as rewards, then why can't I just have the spellbook? Why couldn't you just said, oh, he gives you the spell, tells you where the spellbook is hidden, and then you can try and cast or free him? Why didn't you just say that? No, it's that I could not have it. And I found that to be very irritating. Like, what difference does it make? What difference does it make if it doesn't make any difference? If it's so no point that you can't be bothered to do your job, then why can't I just have the spellbook? Just say it. I got the other guy's spellbook, but we don't know what spells he had in it. So why couldn't I have this spellbook and not know what spells he had in it? And just say, oh, look, I got spells from now until I'm max level. Because I'm not, I doubt he'd have all the spells, but he'd probably have a bunch of the transmutation ones. Not that there are that many transmutation spells. I don't see how it was such a big deal that... I mean, I guess it's really not a big deal that I didn't get it, but it was irritating the way he said it to me. You're just not getting it, alright? Anyways, alright. Hopefully I got some sound recorded this time. And I am going to call it here. So click like if you like, subscribe to and catch the next one. And I will talk to you later.